Welcome back to Kin in Line. This I'll make as part 90. So thanks for putting up with all these quirky figures drawn from the subconscious, really, in the late 80s. This is a particularly interesting one, I think. She has a slight smile on her face, and it looks like that could be a mouse hole in the skirting board. What have we here? Usually they are figurative. So, yeah, that's in a landscape. Imagine that at scale as a big painting. So much scope here for me to spend the next 50 years. Kind of a policeman here, Duplessis. Dorenginze is the hospital in New Brighton, or Sweden, I think maybe, in Jolly Square. All these, one of the bizarre things about renaming, they've renamed Port Elizabeth to an unpronounceable Xhosa word, but they haven't renamed New Brighton or Motherwell to the African townships, which strikes me as hypocrisy. There's another of those broad-faced creatures. And the name Graham Richards below there, he was a DP, city councillor in the 80s, as well as an attorney or advocate. But then he jumped ship to the ANC and later became the municipal manager. I think he twice was, just not worth going into. Mr. Chait, who was he? Alan Zeiss at the top there. He was the municipal estates manager, I think. He was a senior official anyway on the municipality. I think Chait was an academic at UPE. But isn't this a great face? He's like a gangster, sort of highwayman. I really like my creatures from the imagination. Look at those famous words there, non-racial democratic South Africa. That's what we aspire to. At least I did. And we've ended up with a racial South Africa, a new racial South Africa. And maybe that's why this half man, half woman with a halo is a bit trepidatious. Okay, Mosgas, I mentioned a few videos back, was established in the mid-80s to exploit some gas fields offshore and to refine the gas. Look at this guy's eyes. They're on jumping forward like that. It's bizarre. I did quite a few stories because they manufactured quite a bit of the oil rigs for Mosgas in PE. It was quite a boost to some of the, like with the motor industry in the doldrums, at least this came. So this was one of our Indian guys who was a member of one of the sort of token representative bodies on the city council. They used to, back in the day when Port Elizabeth was in the 19th century, Port Elizabeth was quite a non-racial town. And they had people of colour even on the council back, one or two, but it was a qualified franchise. And anyway, I just shaded this guy's face from this invitation, 1989. And here we're hurtling to a conclusion. unfortunately, this is probably what things are looking like over the Ukraine at the moment. Although it won't be propeller-driven planes, it'll be jets sowing their devastation. Yeah, I'd have to really think about how to do a painting of this. I can see a palette knife and all that. Each plane nicely, just sharp lines. Yeah, a lot of work. And then you can never be assured of a successful outcome. Saki Makozoma, Frank Ciccone, Sakumzi was Saki's full name. Makozoma was from PE, and he was one of the first to benefit from Black Economic Empowerment, BEE, which became ANC's new racial policy to enrich a select few. I suppose the one argument for it was that it created a new middle class, but it was all artificial wealth. These people didn't build up companies like the Afrikaners did. They lifted themselves up, albeit that under the National Party there was a lot of preference given to, I think, to the Afrikaner. But certainly they did create their own banks, and this country certainly soared ahead in the 60s and 70s. Okay, so we're going to conclude this with these drawings of a chap playing, looks like a penny whistle there. No, sax. So this is the top. This would have been at one of those jazz concerts I mentioned. And I think this is the final one. It's probably the same guy, just not as closely drawn in. So we're going to get back to more of these life drawings. I think I finished 3 envelopes of those doodle drawings, and we're going to see what comes up next. Anyway, for now, cheers.